Welcome to African Tales by Oge. In a forgotten corner of a small dusty town lived a man called Pa Nnanna Izudo, a quiet man whose strength was measured not in his muscles but in his patience and kindness. He was known for two things: the calm way he carries his struggles and his legendary pot of jollof rice. People swore he didn't cook food. He cooked comfort. He cooked home. He cooked something that healed the heart. Pain had shaped him. His wife died the day their daughter was born, leaving him alone with a tiny crying baby. Her name, Dera, the one who has come well. For that moment, he raised her with trembling hands and a heart bigger than his pocket. Their life was painfully simple: a crumbling one-room apartment with cracked walls, broken windows patched with carton, and a leaking roof that cried with them each time it rained. Still, every morning, Pa Nnanna opened his roadside stall, a rusty counter, an old pot, and a firewood stove. People came from far and near to taste the magic he created from almost nothing. But even with all the customers, the money was never enough. Diabetes drained him, rent suffocated them. Dera's school fees always looked like a mountain. Then one scorching afternoon, he felt a fever burning through him. Dara begged him to rest, but he shook his head, insisting they needed money for her common entrance. He forced himself to go to the shop, fighting the fire inside his body. While stirring a pot of tomato stew, his leg gave out and he collapsed. The pot overturned, spilling boiling oil and tomatoes across his skin. He screamed, tore through the street. His wounds refused to heal. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. His diabetes rotted him from the inside. While Dera fought desperately to save him, she borrowed medicine, begged at pharmacies, tried local herbs. Sometimes she was chased away. Life became a long battle fought with tears and hope. At just 16, Dera became a mother, a father, a nurse, a provider, and a student all at once. When they couldn't pay for rent for the shop, the landlord seized it. So she began cooking from their small room and hawking jollof rice around the neighborhood with a tray balanced on her head. She washed clothes, swept compounds, cleaned houses, anything to raise the 180,000 naira the herbalist said could start her father's treatment. She saved for months, her hands blistered from work, her feet cracked from walking. One morning, she finally gathered the complete money. She ran to her father's bedside, breathless with joy, clenching the money in her fist. Papa, Papa, the money is complete. But Pa Nnanna was gone, cold, still, silent. He had passed away in the night, just hours before she could reach him. Dera fell to the floor, the money slipping from her hand, scattered across the floor like broken hopes. She screamed, a raw sound that seemed to tear her own soul in half. Neighbors rushed in. Some offered weak comfort, others crying with her. Her tiny hands dug into the ground for the coffin. Her tears mixed with the sweat and dirt. Each nail she hammered felt like another strike against her heart. Her father, her protector, her guide was gone. Her childhood shattered completely in that moment. She clung to the only thing her father left behind, his jollof recipe. She poured her grief into cooking, and slowly, people began to notice the girl, whose food tastes like memory, like home, like hope. She saved enough to rent a tiny food space. It was hot, cramped, and small, but it was hers. One afternoon, as she served customer with sweat dripping down her face, a well-dressed man walked in. He tasted her food and froze. Who cooked this? I did, sir, she replied. He handed her a business card. Call me. There is something you need to see. She took it and tucked it into her dirty apron. Forgetting about it, life was too hard. That same day, she returned home to find her things thrown out by her landlord. I did not build this house on credit. Leave, he shouted. She squeezed herself into her small store with pots and pans, with no place to go. Then, the government demolished the shop in the area to build road. Homeless again, with no shop, no job, no shelter. She reached into her apron and found the man's card. With shaking hands, she called him. The address led to a restaurant that looked like heaven, carved into marbles, chandeliers, gold accent, perfection was everywhere. Two other candidates were waiting. One of them, Ade, stuttered around like a peacock. I studied in the American Royal Culinary Institute. He boasted. I don't do basic food. Dera stood quietly, clutching her faded apron. The legendary head chef, Chef Roy, walked in and gave only one instruction: cook jollof rice. Ade laughed. Dera trembled. She cooked with hands that remembered her father, with tears threatening her eyes, her fear screaming in her chest, but she poured her soul into the pot. Chef Roy tasted their dishes. Then he stopped at Dera's plate. This, he whispered, is food with a heartbeat. He turned to Ade. Leave. Ade exploded. This girl? From where? After all my training, you will regret this. But the chef ignored him. Chef Roy trained Dera with fire. Sleepless nights. Heavy pots that bruised her arms. Recipe that failed again and again. The heat burned her skin, and sometimes tears streamed down her cheeks so freely she could hardly see. Sometimes she dropped a pot and wanted to run, to give up, to return to her tiny, safe kitchen. But she remembered her father's voice whispering in her mind, consistency, Dera. Hard work, never give up. Every failure became a lesson. Every burn, every tear, every humiliating mistake was a step forward. Slowly, painfully, her skin sharpened. Her jollof transformed under her hands. Every gain infused with heart and memory, discipline and resilience. By the time Chef Roy retired, she had mastered the rhythm of the five-star kitchen and was ready to run the restaurant herself. The girl who once slept in a store became the owner of a five-star restaurant. Her food attracted crowds. Her story inspired many. Her heart fed even more. But Ade was watching. Still burning with jealousy, he convinced his wealthy father to buy him a land beside Dera's restaurant. There, he built a giant palace of pride, Royal Ade's Government Palace. He imported spice, gold-plated cutleries, marble floors, a fountain at the entrance. But one thing tortured him. He could not cook jollof like Dera. He sent spies, fake delivery men, fake customer, fake assistants. All attempts failed. Ade would smash pot, screamed at his staff and shout, "How can that village girl be better than me? I trained in America." Then, Came his biggest embarrassment. A customer finished a plate of jollof and asked for the bill. 135,000 naira, the waiter said. The man screamed, 135,000 naira for what? This tiny plate of rice and chicken lap. The restaurant next door sells better for 15,000 naira. People recorded him. The video went viral. Ade became a national laughingstock. Ade drowned in disgrace. Dera kept shining. She never forgot hunger. She had lived it. One evening, she gathered her staff. I want to cook the biggest pot of jollof this city has ever seen and feed everyone who cannot afford a meal. People laughed. Competitors mocked her. Some called her foolish, but she kept on going. She built a pot so large it looked like a small room. Firewood crackled under it. Aroma filled the skies. People gathered in awe. She stirred it. Tears flowed down her cheeks, remembering her father, the man who had taught her everything. When the jollof was ready, she fed thousands. Hungry children danced, old women cried, families ate until their stomachs were filled. The world finally saw her for who she was, not just a chef, not just a survivor, but a healer, the girl who turned pain into purpose, the girl who cooked hope, the girl who used her father's fire to light the world, the girl who cooked the biggest pot of jollof rice to heal the world that once starved her.